stuff. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I started going through and cataloging all the sermons and teachings and notes that I have from all these years. And I'm not exaggerating. Thousands and thousands of pages. Three Ring Binders is full of stuff, and I'm trying to catalog them so I can use them as a resource, because there's some things in there I think are worth sharing again maybe sometime. And I go through and I'm looking at some of these things and I'm thinking, do I really believe that still? Do I really think the same way? Things that maybe I said 10 or 15 years ago. And don't panic, for the most part, yes I do. But sometimes, you find how your understanding evolves over the years and your changes in your mind, and maybe things you were so passionate about before, maybe God's tempered that a little bit, or maybe you've let it get tempered and it shouldn't be. But these are things I still believe. These are things that have stuck in my heart. These are things that are very important to me. A lot about this morning is about spiritual authority. And I believe in that. I believe it's a very important principle in Scripture. And yet it's like high explosives. You need to handle them very, very carefully. And the whole issue of spiritual authority is something that needs to be handled very, very carefully. And so this is the first point. Those who talk about authority all the time probably don't have any. Okay? So I need to be careful out here talking about it, right? Those who talk about spiritual authority all the time, and maybe any other kind of authority as well, probably don't have any, or at the very least, are not confident in it and secure about it. Secondly, my second point this morning, again, just coming at it from a different angle, be reluctant to be in the spotlight. Now again, it might sound strange because I'm standing up here, And by the way, these things like life experiences or thoughts, I just happen to have the microphone, okay? You've got a lot of life experiences. There's a lot that I'll learn from you as we walk this out together. But these are just the thoughts, again, that are in my heart, in my mind. And let me say this. The things that I talk about, I was listening to a speaker. It was a real estate seminar. And he would say, don't ever, ever, ever do this. Like if you want to do that, it's a mistake or whatever. And he always followed up by saying, how do you think I know that? Because I've done it. But I believe that the safest place to be in life is where you're not chafing, at this need to be recognized, at this need to be up front, this need to be seen and recognized and be the center of attention. And it's fine. If we're called to be up front, if we're called to lead people, there is nothing noble about shying away from that call. Because if it's God's call on our lives, we need to do it. So don't shy away from it. There's nothing noble about that kind of false humility. But I just believe that if we get to a place where we crave the attention, where we crave that recognition, then we are in a dangerous place. We're in a place where there's a big fall that's probably going to come. Third thing I want to talk about this morning is about being careful when judging the motives of others. I'm going to knock this off there, so I'm going to move it. Be careful when it comes to judging the motives of others. I try to live by this philosophy. I don't always know the motivation of my own heart. Okay? So why do I think that I will know the motivation of everybody else's heart? I always think that's kind of curious, that we don't know. And you say, well, what do you mean you don't know the motivation of your own heart? I think you know what I mean. Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is deceitful and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Tied in with that thought, and this is taken from 1 Corinthians 13. This is the next point. It's taken from 1 Corinthians 13:7. And it says, love believes all things and hopes all things. And that's what it says again, 1 Corinthians 13:7. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Some people think it's naive and dangerous to trust someone and take them at face value. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be aware of warning signs and that we shouldn't be cautious, but it'll serve us a whole lot better if we would trust. On the next thought, that ability. Err on the side of letting people try. Err on the side of letting people try. Give people a chance. And I don't, this is one of those things I'll say, I don't necessarily consider myself really good at this sometimes. I'm very much a person that It's just easier to do it myself, than to try to teach somebody else. I've struggled with that over the years, and that's a weakness in my heart. But I believe in my heart, and I want to do better at that. I want to err on the side of letting people try. I want to err on the side of freedom. Ministry flows out of relationship. Ministry flows out of relationship. This is an axiom that's been something that's been very, very important in my life. Now, first, of course, it starts with relationship with God. You remember, the vine and the branches, that whole idea from John 15. He is the vine, we are the branches. So ministry flows out of our relationship with Him, but it also flows out of our relationship, a life lesson for me, and it's this. People's problems don't stop for my own. Okay? People's problems don't stop for my own. If you're called, as we all are, one way or the other, to minister to the needs of others, you will realize that those struggles and those problems that other people have do not wait for a time when all yours are gone. Okay? People talk about being legalistic. I don't want to be legalistic. Remember, I read that from Tale of Three Kings. Legalism and laws and rules and stuff sometimes are just made by leaders so they can sleep better at night. Meaning, get everybody's behavior under control, then we can rest a little bit better. I don't want to be legalistic. You don't want to be legalistic. None of us do. But the reality of it is that we run the risk of getting disqualified from the race if we're not careful. This is not legalism. But if we're not careful and we let the world get its claws into us, it can destroy us. So that means we do need to be careful. We need to be careful about the things we listen to, the music, television, things we look at, things we read, people we spend time with. It's important because we cannot let the world creep in. It is subtle. And over time, it will cause you to be disqualified. This is just the burden of my heart. I've shared things similar to this in weeks past, but I do not want to be disqualified from the race. I do not want to be disqualified from the race. Paul said this in 1 Corinthians 9:27. He said, "But I discipline my body, and I bring it into subjection, lest when I have preached to others, I myself should become disqualified." There's one last one I'm just going to mention for 1 minute, and then I'll close. And that's just simply this. Take responsibility for your actions. Very simple things, nothing all that profound. Yeah, I did it. I was wrong. I really blew it. And I'm sorry. Marion Jones, I've watched her recently, Now, the sad part about it is she spent years denying that she used performance-enhancing drugs, or whatever they call it, in track. She's an Olympic, was a 5-time gold medalist. But I appreciate, even though she denied it for years, I don't think that's good. But I saw her news conference when she stood up and she said, "I did this. I was wrong. I've let a lot of people down. I'm disappointed with myself. I've disappointed other people. Here's my gold medals. Give them back." I'll tell you what. I wish there hadn't been all the years of denial, but when you see that responsibility, whatever amount, again, be careful to judge the motivation of others. Whatever motivation was, I don't know. But you know what? I have some respect for that. People who pass off everything as everybody else's fault but their own and play the victim will rarely ever succeed in life. And what's so cool when you take responsibility for your mistakes? There is grace, there is mercy, there is forgiveness, there is help, there is freedom, there is understanding when you take responsibility for the things that you've blown. Open your eyes, arise and shine. Come out of the darkness and into the light. Let love fill your heart and the Spirit your mind. Become someone new, let Christ work in you. Open your eyes, arise and shine. Come out of the night into His light. Step into the day. He has prepared the way. Become a new creation. Become a new creation. Become a new creation. Awaken.